How did South Korea, which historically and culturally didn't have an advantage, leap to become a strong cultural exporter? From the hit Squid Game to the Oscar-winning film Parasite, and then to K-pop groups like BTS and Blackpink breaking into the Western music scene, have you noticed that Korean culture has become popular worldwide? Kissy face, kissy face. According to an analysis by American News and World Report and the Washington School of Business at Binjo University, South Korea's ranking in global cultural influence rose to 7th place in 2022. Data predicts that by the end of 2024, investments from countries around the world in Korean cultural content and products will rise to $76 billion, with expectations for that to double by 2030. Let's analyze this. South Korea is a country with a very poor geographical position and limited resources. Its area is about the same as Jiangsu province, but it has a population of less than 50 million, which is even fewer than Jiangsu. Arable land is scarce, and until last year, South Korea's food self-sufficiency rate was below 45%. There are fewer mineral resources. Last year, stats showed South Korea's 84% energy dependence on imports. Without globalization, South Korea could not become a significant player on the world stage. With limited resources, developing value-added industries was the sole strategy for South Korea. South Korea, initially disadvantaged, transformed its fate thanks to a legendary figure, Park Chung-hee's father, the military dictator Park Chung-hee. After he came to power, he created the miracle on the Han River, which transformed South Korea's fortunes. Park Chung-hee recognized the importance of propaganda early on. To strengthen his dictatorial rule, he needed a highly unified ideology, so he proposed the slogan, "Culture serves politics." In 1962, South Korea enacted its first film law, implementing a censorship mechanism and an import quota system for films. This was essentially to control ideology and strictly regulate the cultural industry, Saint-G. As a result of this mechanism, the number of moviegoers in South Korea plummeted by 1/3. The average number of movies per person dropped from 6 per year to 1.8. The quality of the movies also fluctuated with the intensity of censorship. Until the 1980s, South Korea's entertainment industry was still very backward. In the Korean drama Reply 1988, you can see that many of the idols worshipped by Koreans at that time were Hong Kong stars, such as Leslie Chung, Chow Yun-fat, and Jackie Chan. The most popular movie at that time was A Better Tomorrow. For a long time, Korean movies imitated Hong Kong movies. By 1990, South Korea's GDP per capita had exceeded $10,000. Those who have watched the previous video must know that this number indicates the emergence of a large demand for cultural products. At that time, the Western cultural industry was booming. President Kim Young-sam noted in a government report in 1993 that the profits from a Hollywood blockbuster like Jurassic Park were equivalent to the profits from 1.5 million Sonata cars. The automotive industry was a pillar of South Korea's economy, which indicates that the country's leadership had already recognized the commercial value of the cultural industry. During this period, a landmark event also took place. The pioneer of K-pop, Seo Taiji, along with his band, established South Korea's popular music scene, which underwent significant changes starting from them and entered a full revival period in the mid-1990s. South Korea's 3 major entertainment companies were established around this time. In 1997, when the Asian financial crisis hit South Korea, then-President Kim Dae-jung proposed that the foundation of South Korea was high-tech and cultural industries. Why did they choose cultural industries? People's demand for culture is increasing. Secondly, the impact of the financial crisis affected traditional industries, while the cultural industry is a light asset sector requiring less investment, has quicker turnover, and provides high added value. According to estimates by the South Korean government, every $1 million in cultural exports creates 14 to 15 jobs, whereas traditional manufacturing can only create 7 to 8 jobs. For every additional $100 in exports, there is a $412 boost to the industry, known as the quadruple effect. In South Korea, 52% of corporate sales are influenced by the popularity of the Korean wave. Against this backdrop, the South Korean government increased the budget for the cultural sector by 40%, increasing investment in cultural industry infrastructure and cultivating talent in various cultural fields, shifting from a management-oriented approach to a promotion-oriented one. The whole nation rallied to revitalize the cultural industry. Let's briefly discuss a few key strategies. First is legislative support. In 1997, South Korea officially incorporated a rating system into the Film Promotion Act, which ended the long-standing film censorship system in the country. This system is very important because the rating system allowed for creative freedom in Korean cinema. laying a crucial foundation for the subsequent prosperity of the industry. Second, there's financial support. In the year 2000, the budget for South Korea's cultural industry accounted for 1% of the national fiscal budget. By 2020, spending on culture had risen to 1.24% of the government budget, which is higher than that of the UK, France, Germany, Japan, and the US. There were tax reductions and the establishment of various special funds for support. The Busan International Film Festival serves as a bridge between South Korea and the world of cinema, with government investment accounting for 1/7 of its funding. Support for the cultural industry remains strong despite political changes. It's consistent, and it's precisely because of a good operational environment that South Korea's cultural industry has begun to thrive. As for South Korea, they take what works and make it their own. Idol auditions learn from Japanese electronic music and imitate Western styles. They copy whoever is popular, and on that basis, they've developed their own unique style. This is not a derogatory term. The same logic applied to our early internet industry. In 2000, Korean cultural exports were only $500 million. By 2011, it had grown to $5.6 billion in 10 years. The total value of intangible assets brought by Hallyu has reached $94.79 billion. The revenue of the entertainment industry in South Korea was half of Samsung's revenue in the same year, making it the second largest foreign exchange earner in South Korea. The economic model of South Korean entertainment evolved with a complete system from content production to publicity and promotion. There are also stable and diverse monetization channels. Their content is adjusted for localization based on the target market.
Think about what works in your area. Don't follow the door waving. Love song called The Voice Just Bought.
Let's take K-pop as an example to analyze their business operation model. What about the K-pop industry? It consists of 5 major links: planning, production, promotion, circulation, and consumption. Specifically for Korean group operations, they have a set of standard SOP guidelines. First, let's look at the creation of an idol group. A trainee needs to be trained for 5 to 7 years and undergoes training and graded assessments in singing, dancing, foreign language, etiquette, etc. In the planning stage, through research and analysis of the target market, the members' music style and image are packaged. The packaging and production process in Korea is very professional and powerful and insists on internationalization, such as before 2016. South Korea's main market is China. You can see that Chinese faces have started appearing in South Korean idol groups. For K-pop groups targeting the international market, the naming conventions are almost always abbreviations in English letters. Even though the songs are in Korean, it's rare to find a song that doesn't include any English lyrics at all. At the same time, South Koreans have noticed that 6 out of the top 10 songs on the Billboard chart are produced by Swedish producers. They invest heavily in recruiting talent from overseas for marketing and promotion, which is also worth mentioning. They are very good at leveraging new media. For instance, Blackpink has reached 95 million subscribers on YouTube. BTS's marketing strategy on social media has even been included in Harvard Business School's research cases. Corresponding to the highly industrialized idol training operation system in the upstream of the industry is the mature and systematic fan support, ranking, and consumption behavior in the downstream. Isn't this what we call a customer operation system in business? For example, when an idol participates in a music program to promote their song, opinion leaders or fan leaders will mobilize fans to go to music platforms to help with the rankings and buy a lot of albums. Just think about it. After all this effort, it would be hard not to become popular. K-pop, Korean dramas, and Korean films have different strategic positions. K-pop is aimed at the youth as a pop culture. Korean dramas target the general commercial market and are the main force behind South Korea's cultural exports. In the past, Korean dramas relied on 3 main tropes: terminal illness, car accidents, and amnesia. Nowadays, they can produce works like Squid Game and The Glory, which have both critical acclaim and popularity. In 2016, Netflix recognized the mature film and television industry chain in South Korea and established its Asian production center there, according to available data. Netflix's total investment in South Korea reached about 4.2 billion yuan in 2021, generating an economic benefit of 30.5 billion yuan. And it created 16,000 jobs. Unlike Korean dramas, South Korean films place a greater emphasis on artistic value. Today, Korean genre films have become a benchmark for similar films in Asia and even worldwide. Since 2014, Korean genre films have been selected for the Cannes Film Festival's midnight screenings for 9 consecutive years. Of course, the achievements they have today didn't happen overnight. South Korean films went through a period of producing bad movies, but with the development of the industry, they gradually found their own unique characteristics. In terms of creative techniques and content, they absorbed the strengths of Hollywood's genre storytelling, while bravely confronting national traumas and reflecting on social issues. For example, the corruption of the system and class antagonism, etc. We boldly tried various themes and created films such as Train to Busan, Crime, Memories of Murder, and Flu, which oppose class antagonism. We fought all the way, not to change the world, but to prevent the world from changing. This line is from the movie The Crucible, which is based on a real incident of sexual violence at a school for the deaf and mute in Gwangju. It depicts the principal's years of sexual abuse of disabled children and the organized assassination of teachers and lawyers who investigated the matter. After the film was released, public outcry erupted, and hundreds of thousands of citizens petitioned the government to reopen the investigation. On the 6th day after the film was released, the Gwangju police reopened the investigation into the Inhwa school, detaining and prosecuting the suspects. They also passed an amendment to strengthen penalties for sexual assault against disabled children, and retried those involved in the case, ensuring that justice was ultimately served. This film pioneered the genre of socially conscious cinema in South Korea, which not only it has brought about positive economic effects and cultural reflection, and has also advanced the progress of the South Korean judiciary. The development of the South Korean cultural industry hasn't been smooth sailing either. The 2016 ban on Korean entertainment caused South Korea to lose its most important market at the time. Before that, 27% of the overseas revenue from the Korean wave came from China, Lucio. After suffering a heavy blow, South Korea's cultural industry had to engage in global competition. In 2021, South Korea's cultural industry exports reached nearly $11.7 billion US, creating nearly 130,000 jobs, which doubled from 2016. South Korea's cultural industry has been reborn. With the development of the industry, there are issues like excessive alignment with Western values, leading to a loss of its unique characteristics, and becoming a mere production hub for Netflix, resulting in a harsh living environment for some. Criticism is rampant. However, we should still recognize the successes of the South Korean cultural industry system. Culture, as a form of a country's soft power, is undeniably important. The Korean wave, as one of the few national cultural trends and experiences outside of Hollywood, holds particularly significant practical implications for our future development of the cultural industry. It's something we should pay attention to and study.